Surrender in personal relationships. What about people who want to use me, manipulate, or control me? Am I to surrender to them? They're cut off from being, so they unconsciously tend to get energy and power from you. It is true that only an unconscious person would try to use or manipulate others, but it is equally true that only an unconscious person can be used and manipulated. If you resist or fight unconscious behavior in others, you become unconscious in yourself. But surrender doesn't mean that you allow yourself to be used by unconscious people. Not at all. It is perfectly possible to say no firmly and clearly to a person, or to walk away from a situation and be in a state of a complete inner non-resistance at the same time. When you say no to a person or a situation, let it come not reaction from the inside, from a clear realization what is right or not right for you at that moment. Let it be a non-reactive no, a high-quality no, or a no that is free of negativity and so creates no further suffering. You keep your unhappiness alive by keeping in time. That is its lifeblood. Remove time through intense present moment awareness and it dies. But do you want it to die? Have you truly had enough? Who would you be without it? I'm in a situation at work that is unpleasant. Oh, okay. No resistance. Okay. The power to choose. Without it, you have no choice. Choice begins the moment you disidentify from the mind and its conditioned patterns, the moment you become present. Until you reach that point, you are unconscious, spiritually speaking. This means that you are compelled to think, feel, and act in certain ways according to the conditioning of your mind. That is why Jesus said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is not related to intelligence in the conventional sense of the word. I have met many highly intelligent and educated people who are also completely unconscious, which is to say, completely identified with their mind. In fact, if mental development increase, the knowledge in night counterbalanced by a corresponding growth in consciousness, the potential for unhappiness and disaster is very great. Your friend is stuck in a relationship with an abusive partner, and not for the first time. Why? No choice. The mind, conditioned as it is by the past, always seeks to recreate what it knows and is familiar with. Even if it is painful, or at least it is familiar. The mind always adheres to the known. The unknown is dangerous because it has no control over it. That's why the mind dislikes and ignores the present moment. Present moment awareness creates a gap, not only in the stream of the mind but also in the past, the future continuum. Nothing truly new and creative can come into this world except through the gap and the clear space and infinite possibility. So your friend, being identified with your mind, may be recreating a pattern learned in the past in which intimacy and abuse are inseparably linked. Alternatively, she may be acting out a mind pattern learned in early childhood according to which she is unworthy and deserves to be punished. It is possible too that she lives in a large part of her whole life in the pain body, which always seeks more pain under which to feed. Her partner has his own unconscious patterns, which complement her Of course, her situation isn't self-created, but who or what is the self that is doing the creating? A mental, emotional pattern from the past? No more. Why make a step out of it? If you tell her that she hasn't chosen her conditional situation, you're reinforcing her in a state of mind identification. But is her pattern who she is? Is it herself? Is her true identity derived from the past? Show your friend how to be the observing presence behind her thoughts and in her emotions. Tell her about the pain body and how to free herself from it. Teach her the art of inner body awareness. Demonstrate to her meaning of presence. As soon as she is able to access the power of the now and thereby break through her conditioned past, she will have a choice. It always looks as if people had a choice, but that is an illusion. As long as your mind with its conditioned patterns runs your life, as long as you are your mind, what choice do you have? None. You are not even here there. The mind identified in a state is severely dysfunctional. It is a form of insanity. Almost everyone is suffering from this illness in varying degrees. The moment you realize this, there can be no more resentment. How can you resent someone's illness? The only appropriate response is compassion. So that means nobody is responsible for what they do. I don't like that idea. If you are run by your mind, although you have no choice, you will still suffer the consequences of your unconsciousness, and you will create further suffering. You will bear the burden of fear, conflict, problems, and pain. The suffering thus created will eventually force you out of an unconscious state. What you say about choice also applies to forgiveness. I suppose you needed to pull your conscience and surrender before you can forgive. Forgiveness is a term that has been used for 2,000 years, but most people have a very limited view of what it means. You cannot truly forgive yourself or others as long as you drive your sense of self from the past. Only through accessing the power of the now, which is your own power, can there be true forgiveness. This renders a past powerless, and you realize deeply that nothing you ever did or that was ever done to you could touch even the slightest and radiant essence of who you are. The whole concept of forgiveness then becomes unnecessary. And how do I get to that point of realization? When you surrender to what is and still become fully present, the past ceases to have any power. You do not need it anymore. Presence is the key. The now is the key. How will I know when I have surrendered? When you no longer need to ask the question. Okay, surrender. The way of the cross. There are many accounts for people who say that they haven't found God through their deep suffering, and there is the Christian expression, the way of cross, which I suppose points to the same thing. We are concerned with nothing else here. Strictly speaking, they did not find God through their suffering because suffering finds resistance. They found God through surrender, through total acceptance of what is, into which they were forced by intense suffering. They must have realized on some level that their pain was self-created. How do you equate surrender with finding God? Since resistance is inseparable from the mind, relinquishment of the resistance. Surrender is the end of mind as your master, the imposter and pretending to be you, the false God. The judgment and all negativity dissolve. The removing, which had been obscured by the mind, then opens up. Suddenly a great stillness rises within you, an unfazed and immobile sense of peace. And within that peace, there is a great joy. And within that joy, there is love. And at the innermost core, there is a sacred, the immeasurable, that which cannot be named. I don't call it finding God, because in how you can find it which was lost. The very life that you are, the word God is limited not only because thousands of years of imperception and misuse, but also because it implies an entity other than you. God is being itself, not a being. There can be no subject-object relationship here, no duality, no you and God. God realization is the most natural thing there is. The amazing and incomprehensible fact is not that you can become conscious of God, but that you are not conscious of God. The way of the cross that you mentioned is all the way in alignment, and until recently it wasn't the only way. But don't dismiss it or underestimate its efficacy. It still works. The way of the cross isn't a complete reversal. It means that the worst thing in your life, your cross, turns into the best thing that ever happened to you by forcing you into surrender into this, forcing you to become as nothing, to become as God, because God too is no thing. At this time, as far as an unconscious majority of humanity is concerned, the way of the cross is still the only way. That will only awaken through further suffering, and the alignment as a collective phenomenon will be predictably preceded by vast and upheavals. This process reflects in the working of certain universal laws that governs the growth of consciousness, and thus was foreseen by some seers. It is described, among other places, in the Book of Revelation, or Apocalypse. Though cloaked in obscure and sometimes impenetrable symbology, this suffering is inflicted not by God, but by humans themselves, and each other as was by certain defensive measures that the earth, which is a living, intelligent organism, is going to take to protect herself from the onslaught of human madness. From mind energy to spiritual energy. Okay. No more. My eyes so fatigued. So tired. So I just need to stop here for reading English version of book. Okay, that's enough.